Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Monday the 3rd of August 2015 for like another half hour. And this is episode 140, Late Night Edition. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me and my co-host,
Haley, also known as Hales Knits on Instagram and Ravelry.
And she does the Knit Two Together podcast with Lisa. So my week is better than your week because I have spent the weekend with Haley. It was last minute, sort of, not super last minute. She gave me a week's worth of notice, which is what I asked for because I have cats and she's allergic to cats. So that meant super cleaning the entire house so that I could get rid of as much cat nest as possible. And I think it worked out well because she hasn't exploded yet.
That's true.
Yeah, so I hope your week was awesome. Mine was awesome. Was yours okay?
It was very awesome.
Okay. Not used to having another person. It's very weird for me. Small Things Knit Along. That closed. I didn't close the thread. I just put a post in there saying anything posted after this won't count for prizes. But I'm not ready to drop prizes yet because I've been with Haley since it closed. And I just haven't even sat down by my computer really since then. So I will record a little snippet tomorrow morning or whenever after Haley leaves and I write down the names and cut up the papers and whatever. I'll record it. I'll put it in here. All of the projects are now in here. And the way this is going to work is there are going to be 4 prize winners today. And there are 4 prize options, but I'm going to let people have options in here. So the prizes are pattern of your choice up to $4 US dollars on Ravelry, 4 stitch markers, 4 tags, yarn tags, or 4 mini skeins, which we will discuss colors and things if that's what you pick. Okay, I'm pulling 4 winners and I'm not designating who gets what. If you win, send me a PM with your choice in order of preference. So if you want stitch markers first and then a pattern second, order of preference. If you if what you want is given away and I get to the pattern, you'll automatically get the pattern. So if all 4 people want patterns, then all 4 people will get patterns. But if 3 people want stitch markers as their number 1 choice, whoever's PM gets to me first will get the stitch markers. Does that make sense? Just send me your list of preferences in preferential order. You're silly. So Gabriel's going to pull out a piece of paper. Go ahead, stick your hand in and pull out one. Is that just one? Yes. So the first winner is Allison Roseboom. Allison, post 402, a mitered square. And she, at the last minute-ish, last week-ish, put in 21 squares in a row. So Allison will receive a prize. Okay, now stick your hand really far in there and get one from way down by the bottom. Got one? Oh, it's okay. We'll put the other ones back. You're so silly. Miss Red Pen, Penelope, post 177, a barn raising square. Stick your hand in there, kind of midway. Pick one. Yeah, that looks good. Pocketses, Sharon, post 439, hand spun. And then how about you stick your hand in there really deep again on this side.
It's okay.
It's okay, we'll pick them up after. And the final winner is Crow Julie, post 429, which was a hat. That was a lot of late entries who just won. It was shook up really well, so it was totally random. We didn't only pull from little parts. But the winners are Allison Roseboom, Miss Red Pen, Pocketses, and Crow Julie. Get in touch with me. Let me know what you would like to win, and I will get out your prizes as soon as I am able. Finished objects. I have 2. I'm pretty proud of myself. It should be more, but whatever. If I really worked on anything this week, there would be more, but I didn't really. So, finished object number 1 is Gabriel's Christmas socks. So last week I was still on the first one. So I finished from the zombie up, finished the ribbing, and then I did the entire second one.
Looks awesome.
I know. And this yarn is Osterman Step that Haley sent me like 2 years ago or something. And I hated it in the ball. I was like, that's so not cute. Hated it in the ball. And then I went from a ball to a cake because it fit better in my knitting bag. And I was like, well, it's okay-ish. And then I started knitting it and I was like, why didn't I make myself socks out of this? Because those little blue flecks make the yarn just so fabulous. I didn't know. And yeah, I could have searched on Ravelry to see what other people had knit with that colorway to figure out what it was going to look like, but people who do that are awesome, and I am not that person. I did a progressive rib pattern on the sock. So it's the child tube sock recipe, but instead of doing the ribbing pattern that's in the recipe, I did a different ribbing pattern where I started with just ribbing on the sides. So this is the side. So it's got 2 ribbing panels on the side, and then added more ribbing, and then more ribbing, and then 2x2 ribbing all the way around on the top. And if you want round counts for some reason, they're in my project page because I needed them because I was doing them one at a time for the socks. The other project that I finished is the Haleakala socks by Cookie A. And last week I was here. I think I had finished both heels and was working down the foot. Does that sound correct?
I think so.
I don't know. That was a long time ago. That was a week ago. So I finished working down the feet, and now I can show you what I was trying to explain about the slipper thing on the top. It goes down the foot like a slipper. I'll put in a picture. Oh no, wait, you can kind of see that. There you go. You can see that
little V thing going.
Yes. So it looks like a slipper. I mirrored the cables instead of just doing the cable that was in the pattern. And I did change the yarn from the heels to toes, or for the heels and toes of the socks. I think that it draws them together a lot and makes them look more fraternal than if I had not done that, which is something that happens sometimes with indie dyed yarns, especially speckle dyed yarn. Self-striping, the colors are pretty similar throughout the skein, but speckle dyes, it's a lot about how the skein is laid out, and there's not necessarily a way that the dyer can make sure that they're getting full saturation depending on how it's laid out. So that's something you should know going into speckle dyed yarns. And it's not something that I've had happen only with Lammy Toes, which, this is her card. Look at that little face. I need that to be my face. And she is Lammy Toes on Etsy. LammyToesShop.etsy.com. And this is the Moon Pie Merino base 75/25 superwash merino nylon. This color is Haley approved.
It is. I actually had a skein of that I made into a pair of socks a couple months ago.
And I really, really liked working with it. She is definitely on my to order again list. But yeah, her yarn isn't the only speckle dyed yarn that I've had this thing where they look completely different from the inside and outside of the ball. Dyers like Cyborg Craft Room, same sort of thing. 716 Knit, the speckle colorways. It's just how it works with speckle, and I don't have a problem with that. But some people do, so I'm just warning you, if you're buying speckled yarn and you're knitting socks and you're worried about it looking completely different, knit one right after the other out of the same ball of yarn instead of knitting 2 at a time. You'll get a closer match. Haley has an exciting finished object.
I'm really tired. Sorry.
It's fine. It's really late and we had a really long day.
Yeah. I finished a pair of socks that I designed. They're called the punch card socks. They're a panel sock. Well, literally just finished. Heather Kitchenered them for me.
That's true.
See the design goes down the foot. It's kind of a zigzag eyelet. And they are in the testing phase, but I think I should be able to post them on Ravelry next week. And the yarn is 716 knit, and the 716 sock, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and the value of a good ramble. And it was a custom color that she did for me, but I'm sure she could repeat it.
It's super pretty. That yarn's gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
But just what I need is more 716 knit.
You know.
I actually do. I don't have that many skeins left because I've been working through it this year.
Mm.
I think I have like 3 or 4 skeins left. It's not enough. Not including my heavier weight 716. Totally different.
Yeah, doesn't count.
No. Works in progress. I made some progress on my Painted Tiger Eventide and my Hippie Penguin BFL in the colorway Carnival Bears. I also started 2 more spinning projects because why not? One is something that I want to finish this month. It is the, what are you? Spun right round. You would think I would know where I need to put this for the camera by now. No.
Well, it's different with the middle person.
It is different. So it is superwash merino. The colorway is Jaws, and it is way prettier than you can see in this lighting through this bag. But you'll see it next week, so it'll be fine. And I just barely started it. It is one of the things on my blanket to finish this month. 2-ply fingering weight, and I am keeping it in this lovely bag, which I don't remember the maker, but it's the one that I was gifted from someone who won it at the ZK. Where is the tag? I don't know.
Ran away.
It's in there. It's somewhere on this bag. There's a tag with the maker. I'll tell you next week. Anyway, that's what it's spinning up like. That's what the fiber looks like, not all in the bag. I'm doing a fractal. So this is going to be the first half. When I spin fractals, I tend to split, well, the way you do it is you split the braid into pieces. So if you're doing a 2-ply, you would split it in half and then spin the first half completely from one end to the other. And then the other half you would split into skinny lengths several times. And that's what these all are. I think there are 7 small bits that I'll be spinning end to end in the same color gradation, and then you spin those 2 halves together. I like to spin the really long, the full strip first, because it seems like it takes so much longer, and the color blocks are much bigger. So it's not like, ooh, let's just spin to the next color. That'll be so fun. And all the little ones, they spin up so fast. You're like, just the next color, just the next color. For this, it's like, okay, let's make a time commitment and commit to spinning the first half. I don't know if everybody feels that way, but Josh of Sort of a Knitter also feels that way. And he usually spins the fun bits first and then saves the drag for last because he's a crazy. I would rather do the harder part first and then do the fun part second.
Yeah.
Because then it's like you get a prize. It's like, I just need to finish this first half and then I can do the second. I also started my super awesome art bat that was my birthday present from Haley via a gift card to Etsy. And it was from Mirla Fiber Arts. I don't have the tag, so I don't remember. I don't have the tag that I could find right before this podcast. So I don't remember what all is in it, but I will write it down for next week maybe, if I remember. Anyway, this is the strip because I'm just going to pull off strips and spin them as they come off the bat. That is the strip, and this is how much I spun. It is really dark red and turquoise and a little bit of purple and a lot of black. a little bit of sparkle so far. I didn't do very much, just enough to start it and just be like, oh, this is so pretty. I'm probably going to ply it back on itself, do a 2-ply, but I haven't decided yet because it's going to be crazy, and I don't think that it'll be the good kind of crazy to do what I did with the Winterfell batlings, ply it with another single. I think this will be too crazy for that, and it'll be much better if I ply it back on itself. But who knows? This is going to be a longish term spin because I don't need it done at any time, and I have to do it outside basically because it has all sorts of fibery bits that fall off, sparkles and stuff. How about you talk about your spinning? And I'll breathe for a moment.
Okay. I brought my wheel with so Heather could play with it.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. Okay, I'm cutting you off. So I got to spin on a wheel, and it was awesome. The part that was not awesome is I've never spun on a wheel before. Whatever. But Gabriel was sitting next to me as I was learning how to do it. Obviously, I know how to draft, so that part wasn't difficult, but treadling was strange because I kept treadling in the wrong direction. Like I would start and it would go in the wrong direction, and then eventually my muscles figured out what they were doing, and that part was easy. But then also the feeding it from the drafting onto the bobbin, totally strange. It took me a little while to understand, like for my brain to really wrap around it. And then I was fine as long as I wasn't thinking about it. But then as soon as I started thinking about it, I would start snapping the fiber again or just letting it drift apart again. So overspinning or underspinning. It was so fun. I want a wheel someday. Someday I will have a wheel. That day is not today. But I got to play on Haley's. Okay, go ahead. Now you.
That's okay. I had always said that I was going to bring it with so she could play with it. So
She did. It was awesome.
But what I'm spinning currently is a hobbledehoy bat. It's one of her gemmy bats, and I'm spinning it for Lisa so she can design with it. And this is the section that I'm currently spinning on. I'm not sure of what it was because it was just kind of something that she threw at us on the way out of the market. But there's also pinks and blues, and browns and whites, and there is sparkle in there. Maybe you can
And the
see it.
first bit had brown and yellow and pink and aqua. Lots of stuff I got to spin a little bit of. So
And it's spinning up beautifully. So
yes, very, very even. It's a smooth bat. Even with the sparkle flies away a little bit, but I mean, that's sparkle for you. So it's really, really pretty stuff. And hobbledehoy, she basically makes crack, the good kind.
she really does.
Yeah. Not the kind that'll get you in trouble. Well,
Well,
if you can stick within a budget, it's not the kind that'll get you in trouble. I also did a little bit of knitting, a very little bit of knitting on anything other than what I finished. I worked a lot on those socks though. Now that I actually look at my finished objects, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why there was so much knitting. I think that last week I had not quite finished this first zipper hexagon, but maybe I had finished the cuff and not cast on the second one. That's what it was, right? I had finished the first one through the cuff, but not cast on the second one. Pretty sure. So I started the second one, and I made it through the entire first round of the foot. I'm on the second one. I am almost finished with the second one. This is what it looks like before you turn it into a hexagon. It's a very cool technique that you do to make it from not a hexagon to a hexagon. But I'm not going to tell you about that because it's a paid for pattern. Super worth it. I love this pattern, clearly because this is the third time that I'm knitting that pattern, and I don't repeat many patterns that many times. The yarn is unknown. I am distracted by the color. Hold on. Okay, it's fine. I thought that I was working with stuff that I had meant to cut out, and then I realized no. It's just a little bit where the yellow and orange meet up. It's not the big hexagon that I like to cut out. Let's see. What else was I saying about this? I don't remember. Oh, by the way, all the socks that have been knit so far have been on US1 2.25 millimeter needles. And yeah, so it's not great progress. This was on the blanket to be finished last month and it didn't happen, but this month it definitely will be. I'm forcing myself. It's quota knitting now. I need to get it done. I haven't started any other knitting projects, even though it's almost the 4th of the month, and that's kind of crazy for me to not have cast on at least 2 more things. But I will. It's mostly because Haley's been here and we've been doing crazy things, which we will talk about after all the crafting content. I did start something else though this week because, you know, why not? I started a rag rug, and this one is braided. So what you do is you take 3 strands of fabric, and you braid them together, and then you sew the braid onto itself over and over again. I wanted something more of a oval or rectangle than a circle, so I started by going back and forth in a rectangular zigzag, and then I went around it. So that's the beginning of a rag rug because, you know, I need a bajillion projects that are not knitting related, apparently. But this is what Haley has been mostly working on while she's been here. Okay, the socks she worked on a bunch, but she also did a ton of work on that rag rug that I was showing you. Let me get in your personal space.
That's fine.
That I was showing you last week. So, not last week. That I was showing you a few weeks ago that I had started. So before Haley was here, I was in this reddish section. So we did this. She helped me split the rest of this blue fabric. This is one of the balls. There are 2 of these. So she helped me rip it into strips, and Gabriel helped. It was a very collaborative effort. And there's actually a picture of Gabriel crocheting on the blanket. But we all worked on ripping this into strips, and Mara helped by falling asleep on us last night while we were working on it. Very helpful she is. We did that. This red is the very last of the red shirts that I was turning into strips. So we have the blue, well, I have the blue to go on this, but I'm only going to use one of the blue. And then I started forever and ever ago working on, well, prepping to start a rag rug using this blue for my sister-in-law. She was in the process of getting the house that she has now, and she was like, hey, if I commission you for rugs, will you make them? And I was like, sure, what kind? And she was like, you know, crochet rag rugs. And she gave me colors but never really specified what she wanted, and she hasn't gotten back to me in a while, so I figure it's fair game. So I'm using that blue in this one. And I had also taken some old work shirts, 3 of them it looks like, and she wanted like a burgundy and a navy. So I dyed the shirts, and one of them turned out this pink color. And I was like, maybe I won't use that one. But another one is this lovely, it was one of Steve's work shirts, and it had pinstripes. So it's this lovely wine color with dark blue stripes. And then the third one is just kind of a winey color. And I had started putting them together a long time ago, back in the old place. But I had started putting them together after they had gone through the wash, which was fine. I had put them in the wash in a laundry bag. And then someone who is not me put them in the dryer, and they became a huge tangled mess. So Haley helped me pull apart the mess, and now I have 3 piles of strips that I can just pull from and attach to the ball, so that I can then crochet just straight from the ball onto this. So hopefully, if I'm smart, I will just take tomorrow afternoon and do that, so that the strips don't get all tangled and thrown all over my house by my children.
Yeah. They already tried to do that today.
Yeah. Mara made a racetrack with the strips. Do you have anything else to say about this rag rug?
No.
She did a lot of the work on it. I mean, almost all of this crocheting was hers. Gabriel crocheted a little. I crocheted a little, but most of the crocheting was hers because she didn't bring a lot of crafting to do.
I knew that I wanted to finish my socks, and I knew that I was bringing my wheel, and then I didn't really hardly touch my wheel. So
it's true. But so she only brought 2 projects, and she wasn't in a spinning mood, and I was like, well, you know, I have some things. And I offered her, you know, she could go through my stash and pick out something if she wanted to start something, and that would be fine. But I also had this, and she was like, oh, I'll just work on that.
mm-hmm.
So it was a very, very good project to have around, and it might actually someday ever get finished. That would be crazy. Did I bring the hook over here?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. Well, the hook is huge. It's like bigger than my fingers. Yes, I did bring it over here. It's huge. That's the hook. So that's the hook against my finger. Bigger than my finger. Maybe not bigger than this part of my finger, but bigger than this part of my finger. So it's huge. So I made barn raising square number 35, which means next week there will be a picture of 36 of them all together. Well, not all together. They won't be put together, but you'll be able to see all 36 of them laid out. Anyway, here is number 35, and this is yarn from Carrie. And again, not a good podcaster because she told me what this yarn was, and I have the note somewhere on my desk, but I didn't grab it because this is very slapdash. We kind of were like, oh, we should record a podcast before Haley goes home tomorrow morning. And we shouldn't do it in the morning because it'll probably be rushed. So we're doing it now, and I just didn't prepare like I should have. But we all know that I don't actually prepare like I should. I just always have good intentions. So, yarn from Carrie, square number 35. It is a free pattern. You can find it on my project page. It's like the barn raising baby blanket or something. I just adjusted it to use size 2 needles and fingering weight yarn, which I sometimes adjust if I'm using heavier weights of yarn because I have used DK to make squares before. But that's what I used for that. I made 9 hex puffs this week, which brings me up to 347. And this is the one that I am most proud of. I took the zipper laxgon pattern and those sections that I really, really hate from the yarn from the zipper laxgon socks, and I made a hexapuff that is that hexagon on both sides. The way I did that was I made one hexagon and then I picked up the edges around to make the other hexagon. It would probably be faster just to make 2 separate hexagons and then sew them together with right sides facing and then flip them out, but that would be less challenging, so I did it this way, but I might do it the other way just to see how that goes. And that's the zipper laxgon socks. I made another hex puff using that, and I don't hate this yarn in the hexapuffs. I think it's fine. I mean, it'll be perfect in Gabriel's blanket because I don't use a lot of that color yarn, so it'll be a variety. I just hate it in the socks because I love the jewel tones in the socks, the blues and the purples. But then when it's just this huge chunk of orange and yellow, it doesn't look very nice, I don't think.
It doesn't look like it goes with it at all.
Yeah, I don't think so at all. But other people can have their opinions. That's just mine. So I'm choosing to cut those pieces out. I made a hex puff using the Osterman step in the color 09. So this is one of the drops minis, and this. And this one. And this celebratory hex puff is made from 2 drops minis. It's got garter ridges across the front because Gabriel really likes the textural hex puffs. This is from ZK yarn, which Holly, I'm really, really sorry. I messed up when I was talking about mini skeins. I messed up what was from Holly and what wasn't because I don't remember everything that everyone gave me, and I didn't label it as people were giving it to me, like mini skeins. So I totally messed up Holly's, and she said I didn't have to call myself out on the podcast, but I feel like a super jerk about that. And that was 2 episodes ago. And I meant to say something last week and fail podcaster, but I'm really sorry, Holly. And I really love the stuff that she gave me, which I don't have here because it got left with Josh in Minnesota, and he hasn't sent me my package of stuff yet. So eventually you'll see the stuff from Holly, even if I don't know that it's from Holly. I'm really sorry. I should have taken a picture right there to be like, this was from Holly, but I didn't. Next year, I need to do that at the ZK. When people hand me stuff, I need to be like, this, and then send myself a text with what that is. That would be really smart. I'm going to forget that by next year. Someone needs to remind me that next year when ZK is coming out, because I'll forget. Anyway, this is one of them, and it is a tweed yarn, so it's got little flecks, and it's a turquoisey color. And this is from the mini skein that Lorraine gave me last week. You can't tell how pretty it is. Maybe I'll put in a picture. Maybe I won't. We'll see. That would be a lot of pictures that I have to edit in. Maybe I'll be motivated tomorrow. Who knows? I don't know.
I know I'm not going to be.
Well, sometimes I'm motivated. I have a bunch of new things, but before that, I finished reading The Demon King. It was really, really good. I'm going to read the next book in the series for sure. Maybe all of them. Super recommend it if you like young adult and you also like epic fantasy, because it's young adult epic fantasy. It's kind of awesome. I started reading Sever, which is the 3rd book in the Chemical Garden trilogy by Lauren DeStefano. I'm not very far in it. It's pretty good so far. I don't know. It's the last book in a trilogy, so it'll probably be way too fast and kind of crazy and blah, because it's dystopian post, not really apocalyptic, but kind of. Science has reached a point where people no longer have diseases, but the last generation to have diseases, or the first generation to not have diseases, I guess, their children don't live to be past 20 for females and 25 for males. So that's kind of crazy. And there's foreshadowing in the book about something that I talked about in a podcast a while ago, but I think that I put it in a 60-second clip where I wasn't going to talk about it in front of people who were interested in reading it, so I'm not going to say it here. But I'm enjoying it so far. Right? Well, I don't want to say it here if I already told myself I wasn't going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember whether or not I was going to talk about it. So, anyway, I have new things. Haley is letting me have her leftovers from her gorgeous socks because I love Jenna's yarn and need all of the colors for all the things, but don't necessarily need to knit a full project with all of the colors. I just want all of the colors. She also gave me 2 mini skeins of handspun. And these are both gradients, correct? And I am probably going to put them into a barn raising square together or apart or whatever yardage wise. Probably together. They look like they are small enough yardage that I would need to use both of them to make a skein, or a square. So some handspun. That's super exciting. If you've never worked with handspun, see if you can convince somebody who spins to give you some, because it's totally different than working with mill spun yarn. You can feel that someone else like had their hand on it. She also gave me this bag full of mini skeins, and you can't see the colors great because it's an orange bag, but oh, you can kind of see. There's lots of different colors in there. I haven't really peeked through. I don't know what's in there, but oh, that one's pretty. Here, I'm going to show you the one that's particularly pretty right this second. It's blue and purple and green.
It's Malabrigo.
Okay, it's Malabrigo and it's really pretty. So you'll be seeing those put into Hexapuffs soon-ish. I have a little bag over here that I'm grabbing from right now, but then I'll start grabbing from that one. And you'll see stuff then. I also received a package from Christina. She contacted me a couple weeks ago saying, hey, I got a really good deal on some eyes for toys. Would you like some? And I said, sure, that would be awesome. So I was expecting like a few pairs. No. These are yellow with black pupils, and there are a lot in there. I don't know, I'm not going to count. Not going to count because I'll have to try like 4 times because I'm tired. I just dropped a ball of yarn on the floor. Fail. And then also just these black ones. And again, a bajillion pieces. If this is, let's see if this one's labeled. No, that one's not labeled, but if this one is labeled correctly, it's 50 pieces, which is enough for
25.
25. Yeah. 25 toys. That's a lot.
Assuming that each toy has 2 eyes.
Right. That's a lot. That's awesome. But not only that, she also sent little mini skeins of yarn. This one looks like a Peyton's Croy, but I don't know for sure. They weren't labeled, but that would be my guess because it's got the plies that are different colors, and it looks like they shift in color as they go. The Croy Socks FX does that, where all of the plies change color eventually, but only one ply changes color at a time, sort of thing. And then these 2 solids, which is brilliant because I don't work with a lot of solid colors, so I don't have a lot of solid mini skeins. So this will be awesome for making whatever. These are huge and definitely enough to make into barn raising squares or into several hex puffs piece. So that is from Christina. And then this is my final ZK yarn installment acquisition stuff in general, anything from the ZK bags, fiber, until I get the rest of my stuff from Josh. So I don't know when that'll be, but this is, I mean, you guys have seen a ton of stuff. Kind of bought a lot. It was kind of crazy. I regret nothing. This first is from Naturally Nitty, and it is, well, you can kind of see. It is a Puni sample. I don't remember what the colorway is. I think that I knew at one point in time. I think that is a colorway that Josh got. Maybe. That sounds right. But I got that to spin, and it is beautiful, and I love it. And then also from them, I have this smooth batlets. So I assume they're going to be like batlings or tribbles or anything like that, just little pieces. And it is the dark side of the rainbow. It has faux cashmere, merino, and silk. 3 ounces. It's black. Oh, you can't see it through there.
It's really
But
pretty
you can
though.
kind of see it. It's, the base is black, probably merino, with silk, which leaves little white streaks in the fiber, and then they each one, it looks like, I haven't opened it so I don't know for sure, you'll see when I spin it, but it looks like each bat has the white from the silk and then a color from the rainbow, so it'll be a dark rainbow. Ooh, clever. It's super pretty. I'm excited to spin that. I really want to spin everything. I need more time.
You need a wheel.
I need a wheel. So if anyone, you know, just wants to randomly send me a wheel someday, that'd be fine. I'm kidding, kind of. The last of it is, I would say, okay, so I loved the market, and I loved a bunch of people who were at the market. The vendors were great in general. Got a lot of stuff that I really, really love. But the coolest thing, because it was a new thing, was the yarn truck. It was super, super fun. I went on it twice because the first time I went on it, I was like, I can't even. Everything is so, so pretty that I wanted to grab everything. And I knew if I started grabbing anything, I would have like 20 skeins in my arms, and I would need to figure out how to not have 20 skeins. And that would have been too hard. So I got off the truck, and then I had a breather because Josh called me inside. And this is what he called me inside for, was to look at this booth. Oh, it was so pretty. So many pretty things, but that's what I got. And then went outside to the yarn truck, and Josh and I were on the yarn truck at the same time, and that was actually kind of really good because Josh and I are really good at being like, no, you don't really want that. And we're also really good at, oh, but did you see? You should get this.
Yes.
But we both are really good at pulling each other in when we need to. So what did I end up getting? I ended up getting this. This is a colorway that I have been in lust with for forever. It is called Shock Star, and it's a superwash sock 80/20 merino nylon from Spun Right Round. Oh, you can't see the tag because I'm holding things awkwardly. Well, you know, upside down tag. It's good enough. Spun Right Round, and it is gorgeous. Where did I see this? Was this what Carrie from Foxes and Socks did her hat out of?
Didn't she make a hitchhiker?
Or a hitchhiker or something? I don't know. I think she was using it, and I was like, oh, I like that. If it could have been someone else. I could be mixing that up. You know, whatever. It's late, and I should not be trying to reference things when I'm this tired. And then I got from Spin Monkeys, who I've never worked with. I've never worked with any of this yarn before. Spin Monkeys. Also, how cute is that packaging? Their hole punch is a little star. Sold. I love stars. Stars are probably my favorite shape. This is the Revolution Sock 80/20 Superwash Merino Nylon colorway Sky Lantern. And it's aqua, and it's got brown and blue pops on it with some orange and red and all sorts of pretty colors. Just pretty. This is from Nerd Girl Yarns, and it is the 75 Superwash BFL 25% nylon base, and that is called Oh Snap. The colorway is Back from Earth, and this skein of yarn, during lunch I laid out all of my purchases from before lunch in the marketplace, and Josh saw this and he was like, that's really pretty. And I was like, really? Like, I knew it was really pretty, but I didn't expect Josh to be like, I really like that. But then he was like, yeah, I really, really like that. I was like, you like it so much that you want it to be your Christmas socks like it? And he was like, yeah. So this is going to be Josh's Christmas socks. I don't know what I'm going to use. I kind of have an idea for the pattern, but I don't know yet. And then I have never even heard of, I've heard of all of those dyers before, but I've never heard of Squirrel Stash. And this is the Acorn Sock, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, in the colorway Niagara After Dark. It is beautiful. So I would imagine because it's Niagara After Dark that it's probably a local dyer to Jenna, because she's in Buffalo, New York. So that would be my guess, but I don't know. Oh, it's pretty. I don't know what it needs to be when it grows up, but it can just sit and be pretty for a long time because that's so pretty. And then I only bought one skein of yarn from Jenna, who is 716 Knit, and this was her retreat colorway. It is Hell Hath No Fury, like a woman scorned for Sega. And I picked this skein. Lisa actually bought it for me because I did that test knit for her, the sample knit, using some Jenna yarn. So she said she would replenish my stash, and she bought me this skein. But she had bought two, and one had more orange in the flecks, so I went for the less orange flecked one, and it's so pretty. The way it knits up is kind of a spiral with the flecks in it, depending on gauge, of course. And this is 716 sock, which is 80/20 superwash and nylon. And so I only bought that, but I pre-ordered some yarn from her, which you'll see soonish because it's dyed now. I really wanted to dye a typhoon kit, but I didn't want the kits that she had. I liked all of the colorways just fine, but I really wanted the stripy color from one and the solid color from another. So I special ordered that way. And you'll see that when it gets here. Yeah, but that's all of my new things. So let's talk about the week just a little bit at the end, because this isn't as long as I thought it was going to be, probably because we're really tired.
Yeah.
And that's good. So Haley last week was like, I need a break from life. And I was like, well, if you need a break, you can come here. That's fine. And then a couple days later, she was like, so were you serious about that? I was like, yeah, that's totally doable. So then I started, cleaning and stuff, and I requested days off so that we could hang out together. I was working when she got here, and she came into my store, and she got to see me go from robot mode to human mode, because I just am a robot when I'm at work. You kind of have to be when you work in retail. You can't be a human being if you want to cut it, basically. Like, people are mean and inappropriate. And even when they're nice, like, it's still like, you can't form relationships the same way with people that you see for a minute and a half every week. So I was ringing up customers, and she came through right at the very tail end of a rush. So I started ringing her stuff, and I was like, hello, how are you today? Blah, blah, blah. Robot. I do actually care. Like, if people start talking to me, I do talk back. Like, I get involved in the conversation, but, you're supposed to be polite. So I try to be polite. And I was looking down I didn't even look up at her, because I was getting tired. It was almost time for my break. And I didn't even look up. I was just scanning stuff. And then she said, I don't remember, something. Tired or good or something. I don't remember. She said something. And I was like, I know that voice. So I looked up, and I was like, and I finished ringing out her order. And then I scared the girl who was bagging for me, because I ran from around the counter and jumped on Haley, and I was like, oh my gosh, and very loud. And nobody from work is used to that. There's only one person at work, like one cashier at work, who has ever seen me be crazy like that, because she's my work buddy, but we don't work together very frequently, so other people don't see that, because I just don't interact with a lot of people like that. I scared some people, which was funny, because they were like, oh my gosh, Heather's an actual human being. That's so strange.
I'll never forget the look on that poor beggar lady's face. She literally, like, it's like when an infant sneezes and their hands go out. She's like
That's awesome. I wish I could have seen that, but obviously I couldn't, because my back was to her, because I was jumping on Haley. So that was pretty awesome. And it was kind of like when you're waiting for your workday to be over so you can go do something. Well, that is how the first 2.5 hours of my shift were. I was like, oh, like, it would be really, really, really slow, and then slammed, and then really, really, really slow. And during the really slow times, I was like, seriously, time is going backwards. And then Haley came in, and she checked in, and she got, food. And I told her about how she'd be here in this room, that this is her setup. My cat, Ducky, is so angry because he's the only cat who's allowed in here, because he doesn't get in my stuff. He doesn't mess with things. He sits in the window, or he sits on my desk, or he sits on the chair of the arm, or somewhere on the floor. But he doesn't mess with things. He doesn't do anything he's not supposed to. But he's allowed in this room. And he hasn't been allowed in this room for almost a week. Oh, he's so angry.
He hates me.
No, he doesn't actually. He really, really, really wants Haley to be his friend. Like, he keeps going up to her and looking at her and being like, why aren't you petting me? Because Ducky is a super friendly cat. And even people who don't like cats like Ducky. I have a friend who hates cats. He's totally cool with Ducky. They're like road dogs, basically. But Haley can't pet him because she's allergic. And he's like, why don't you love me? He keeps giving her that face. Yeah. And she's like, he looks at her and is like, no, he just really, really, really wants to be your friend.
I think it's more or less the coloring and the markings on his
Yeah.
face. It just makes him look like he's scowling at me.
Well, you know, Ducky basically has this problem. I have the eyebrows that make me look like I'm really, really like, wow, you're an idiot all the time. Even though that's not what I'm saying with my face. It just happens to be what my eyebrows are saying. Can't help it. They're just the way they're made. So she stopped by and she was like, yeah, I'm probably going to go and eat and then take a nap and I'll see you when you get off work. And I was like, okay, cool. Haley's here. I don't have to worry about her getting here. Like, she's safe. And then I got a text about how she was here, like here, not at my store here, because she could have gotten lost, theoretically. It's like a 3-minute drive, but she could have gotten lost. But she was here and that was great. And the rest of the night was super easy and super, like, great because I was like, yee, glowing. Yeah. One of the guys on night crew was like, I could tell that whoever it was pretty important because you looked really, really excited. I was like, I was really excited. The night crew, I talked to the guys on the night crew more than I talked to anybody up front because they come in at 9 and a lot of the people who leave up front leave at 9 and we're pretty busy from 7 to 9 and then not so busy after. So the night crew, they're used to me being a human. But the baggers, they're like, they call me Index at work because I know where all the things in the store are and I can tell them all the things all the time. So I'm not really a person. I'm a computer.
Y'all are.
It's true. So we hung out a little bit after I got home from work. We stayed up way too late. Whatever. And then the next morning, Haley got woken up by Mara in her face. Did she crawl in your bed?
She did.
Yeah. Well,
we cuddled.
Mara really, both of my kids, there's an air mattress on the floor behind us. Both of my kids are super fascinated by that because we never have it up because we don't have company very often. And I'm not going to leave it out because it would get destroyed between cats and children. So, but they're like, this is a cool bed. This is a really cool bed, Mom. And the whole time it was set up because I set it up before I went to work. Because I didn't know when Haley was going to get here and I figured she'd be tired after driving a bajillion hours.
Or 10.
A bajillion hours.
Pretty much.
So the kids were all enthralled with it and I had it set up and then I guess Mara crawled in Haley's bed and then the children woke me up way too early and I made grumpy faces and Haley and I sat around and crafted together very grumpily and then Steve woke up and I was like, I need a nap. And he was like, yeah, I can tell. So he took the children away, like out of the house, and Haley and I took a nap. And then we got up and we hung out with the children for like an hour. And then we went to my knitting group. So go ahead. You can talk about that if you want.
Knitting group was pretty awesome. I got to finally meet the people that she talks about all the time.
That's true. Lorraine and Claire were there.
They're very cool people.
Mm-hmm.
And Lorraine says, I'm invited back anytime. And I'm like, yeah, anytime I want to drive 10 hours, I'll totally be here.
Yeah.
I really hope I didn't come off as horrible to her.
Oh, no.
But
No. You didn't. You're fine.
I will drive the 10 hours again. Just hopefully next time I will have some company because I did it alone.
Yeah.
And 10 hours is a long drive.
Very long drive.
Alone.
A very long drive.
Especially when you're the person in the group who's voted least likely to travel.
Yeah. So. But it was fun. It was, we had it at the same place as always, which is if you're in the area, if you're near Florence, Kentucky, for whatever reason, on a Sunday from 1 to 3:30, Barnes & Noble Cafe at the Mall Road exit. Like if you take the Mall Road exit off of 75 and turn right, there will be a big Barnes & Noble, and inside you go inside and there's a Starbucks cafe. Come join. That's where we were, and it was, it was not very crowded, which was nice. And
we could have stayed.
I think we could have stayed forever, but I had to get home and
adult
people wanted dinner and stuff. Yeah, I know.
I had cheesecake. I was good.
It's true. Haley had cheesecake there. Cheesecake Factory.
Yep.
She's never had that before. How does that happen?
We don't have Barnes and Noble around where I live. I would have to drive pretty much to
Yeah,
Josh.
but Cheesecake Factory, like, that's not a Barnes and Noble thing.
It's
That's
not a thing where I'm
okay.
from.
Well, you guys are weird.
Um,
So she had Cheesecake Factory cheesecake, and she was like, yeah, delicious.
says
So that was
Little
awesome.
Miss sandwiches that are ham that have chicken stickers put on it.
Okay, so if you get a sandwich from the deli at Kroger, a pre-made sandwich, no matter what the contents are, at the bottom of their printout sheet, there's a little thing that says
Fresh chicken fast.
yeah, fresh chicken fast on everything. So there's just a chicken on everything from the deli.
I had
So
to read it like 3 times.
yeah, she was like, "But this is a ham sandwich. Why is there chicken on my packaging?"
We don't do that in Wisconsin.
No, just well, you know,
Regional things.
yeah, regional things. So she had cheesecake from Cheesecake Factory from Barnes and Noble.
That's awesome.
And then we came back here and I made spaghetti and meatballs for dinner because it's super fast and takes almost no effort, really. Put sauce in a pan, put meatballs, the frozen meatballs in a pan, and put it on like lowish. Stir it, walk away for 15 minutes, stir it, start water and pasta, walk away for 10 minutes, done.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we had for dinner. And then we went out on my back porch and sat there until it got too dark to hang out. And we worked on the rug and did some spinning. That's when I learned to spin. Oh, did I say why it was really frustrating trying to learn how to spin? I don't remember. Okay, so I was trying to understand this thing, and besides it being new techniques, Gabriel was watching me, and he was like, "Wow, you're really bad at this." Every time it would break, and I was like, "Well, the yarn breaks for everybody." And I'm learning something new. I've never spun on a wheel before. And he'd be like, okay. And then it would break again. And he was like, Mom, I think you should just stop because you're really, really bad at this. And I was like, no, I'm not stopping. I'm going to figure this out. I just need to practice. So finally, like, he was frustrating me. The not being good at it, I didn't expect to be good at it. Totally new skill. But him being like, wow, you suck. It was just so frustrating that I was like, okay, you are banished while I'm figuring this out.
I found it hilarious every time because he'd be like, Mom, I don't think you should have one of these.
He was like, you shouldn't get a wheel. You're not very good at it. And I was like, you keep your mouth to yourself, child. I want a wheel.
Yes.
I would be good at it if I had a wheel.
It's true.
But I picked it up pretty quickly. So someday, a wheel. Yeah, we hung out on the back porch and that was fun. And then we came in and sat in my library for way too late again. And then
we overslept to a whole 9 o'clock?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get up at 7:30 because I wanted to be to the zoo by 9 because we have early passes and I knew it was going to be hot today and they predicted thunderstorms in the afternoon, which we never got. But I wanted to be there early so we would miss the hot because I get crabby when I get hot and Mara gets crabby when she gets hot. And no amount of going into air conditioned buildings when you get to that point of crabby helps. But I didn't wake up until 9 and I was like, oh, I wanted to be there by now. So we got up and all 4 of us, Haley, the kids, myself, were out the door in like 15 minutes. We stopped by the grocery store so I could pick up some provisions. And then we left. We went to the zoo and that was awesome for Haley because Haley's never been on a train.
No.
What? I mean, she went on like the subway train thing from MSP to the mall, but she's never been on a train before. And it wasn't like a big deal. It was, a zoo train. It was little tiny cars, but she's never been on a train before.
Oh, I need to visit more often.
Clearly. And next time we're going on the carousel. We did not go on the carousel this time because by the time my kids were asking me about the carousel, I was hot and crabby and hungry. and hangry. It was hangry. It was not even hungry, even though we had been snacking the entire time we were there. By the time they asked, I was like, no, we're going to see the lions. That's the last thing we're seeing, and we're leaving. Which is fine because Mara was done. But she didn't want to be done, but she was done. And what was your favorite part?
My favorite part?
Yeah, your favorite part.
I love the penguins.
The penguins are in 2 different places. There are penguins in a cold exhibit inside a bird house thing. They have lots of houses at the Cincinnati Zoo. And so there's a birdhouse that has penguins, and there's also little tiny penguins by the children's zoo that are warm weather penguins.
And they were cuddling on a rock. It was adorable.
I know. They were so cute. And we saw lots of different things, but probably only a third of the zoo. So Haley has to go back and see more of the zoo.
It's true.
Because we only went in the bird house and the manatee house, which is 2 out of like 10 or something houses. I don't know. It's a lot. And there was no carousel. So you have to come back and see more of the zoo. And then we went to the post office because I had a couple things to mail off. Then we came back here and went to get gas. And Haley had a minor freak out about her vehicle. But we got it checked out and it's perfectly fine. So that's good. Because, you know, driving 10 hours with a vehicle that may not have been working would have been really, really bad. But the guys at the shop were super nice and super fast, got her in really, really quick and checked all the stuff that we needed checked. And they were like, yeah, it's fine. So that was good. And then we came back here and I took a 20-minute nap while Steve and Haley.
Seriously. She was, okay, start over. Sorry. Steve wanted Pizza Hut for dinner, and so I took him to Pizza Hut. And we came back, and Heather comes downstairs, and I'm like, weren't you going to take a nap? And she's like, oh, I did.
I slept well. I didn't even actually sleep while they were gone. I just needed to rest for 20 minutes. So, like, I dozed in and out a couple times, but both of my kids were downstairs, and they wouldn't come sit in my room and watch a movie or show really quick so I could take a nap. So I didn't really sleep, but it was enough to get me through the evening. I get really, really tired when I'm in the sun. Like, I have a headache that's been all day right here. It just always happens when I'm in the sun. I get sun sick.
Sorry.
Whatever. It happens. I know it's going to happen. I mean, I still go to the zoo and to the park and stuff. It always happens, and I'm fine. I just really, really need like a 20-minute nap when I get home. Otherwise, I'm really, really mean. So I took my nap, and then we had pizza, and we hung out in the library again, and it was awesome. And now we're here, hanging out with you. And yeah, is there anything else?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay, good. I don't think so either. Yeah, I'm ready for bed. So I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string, and I will see you next week. And Haley will have a pattern release, which I will talk about next week when it happens and let you know all about it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, bye.